squeaky note, it's because my finger didn't cover the hole. So I don't practice enough, but I think that was passing and just a way of sharing some music that if you haven't tried to play a Native American flute, it's easy. Just, I don't practice enough. So the story, I think what we're looking at here, at the picture of Morro Hill, and called Kutuktu in Luiseno, is goes back to part of my family. My great-grandmother, Frances Manuel Fassat, I think was born there. Or so, you know, I mean, there's a connection there. I mean, I want to say yes. My sister's over there who would tell me for sure. She can't hear me right now, so we'll have to go with it. Interesting, I have actually climbed that some years back, and that's the last time I'm going to do it. Because it's well, you know, if you can do it, fine, but it's a little, it's a little hump there. It's part of the story. One of the parts that stories of historical here is, and I'm not sure if that's the place, but there was some cave that was found somewhere in that area that had some Spanish gold in it or something, and a story that goes with the Dr. Meekley or something like that, part of the history here. Is it true? I don't know. Nobody's going to tell you if they found the gold anyway. It's not. Right. But that's an interesting thing because they say that at one time they could take boats all the way up to the river, and this was like a bigger lake area. So I heard some of that back in the day. So that's an interesting place we live at here. Of course, in 1916 there was a big flood and everything, but that's another one. So one of the stories I'm going to share is that at one time my great-grandfather Faustino and his wife Frances, they were farming up in that area. And my great-grandfather had like 10, I think at least 10, and sometimes 11 if you talk to somebody else, 10 sisters, daughters. So they were up there, and I guess it had to be somewhere in the 30s, or maybe late 20s, 1920s, late 20s. So one of the things that was happening up there, now remember that the area we're living here was farm ranchers, and that was before the internet, before TV. So what you had was superstition, stories that would tell you, that would keep you from doing bad things. In my case, the kukui. What was a kukui? I don't know what a kukui is, but if you watch out, the kukui's going to get you. Oh gosh, So what happens when that happens is that a part of our brains have that little part of them that you're afraid of something, and that's protection. We're geared that way. So fear is a good thing. If it's a rattlesnake, you have that thing. So, but what happens is it seems like the stories that people tell you go right in there, and so you believe them. And so in this case, there was the cabin that they were living at. There was an outside place that the daughters would share. It was kind of, I guess if you call it a patio extension if you have a mobile home. But what was happening, there was some at night, somebody was like tugging on their blankets or their feet or something, and it was just scaring them, There's nothing you can do. But one of them, I don't know who it was, came up with the idea that we're going to put thread all over the place, so they can't get through that. That's going to save them. Well, anyway, they did the thread, and it didn't work. Same thing happened, and that's the story as I know. I don't know what happened after that. It just wasn't going to happen. Another story about up there was the road that went up a ways, I guess. There was sometimes you see a priest or somebody that had a priest outfit on walking down there. One time the dogs, they said, went running out to chase something. They came back with their tails between their legs. That type of thing. So it was like those days. In fact, at the mission over here, one of the powwows, somebody said they saw a nun walking, thought it was like a person until she walked through the wall.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay. I haven't seen anything. Some were, we have, actually we had dancers and drummers and people that powwow. We, give them lodging, and some of them wouldn't stay in the mission because of the thoughts of ghost or something. I did stay there one night. Nothing happened. But so that's kind of my story from around here. There's one more short one that I'll say because I had it written down, but I couldn't find it right now. Is that in Palomar Mountain, people would hear the gathered acorns up there. So if we were in the village, people would go, but there's people that stay back from the village. So one time this guy stayed back and didn't go up. And he was, I guess, resting in the place he was at, and he could hear voices. And the voices weren't normal voices. Those are voices of the ancestors that had passed. So he was listening to those and keeping himself hidden what he was doing. And I guess there was when everybody left the village, the old spirits came back, and he said they were dancing. You could hear them. And then he came around the corner, looked, and it was like a bunch of crows just flew away. So a lot of times we look at birds. I know we look at a hawk, and I think that's a good omen to look at things. Sometimes there's when somebody passes in our family, there's something that comes to the window and pecks at it, and you think it's a spirit or an owl that goes through. We identify with the nature from around here. And that's just part of who we are. So in spite of all the technology that we do have, our minds are still registered, and there's parts of it that run deep into our consciousness. And so I can attest to one thing, that because I play the music over here, that those old songs are registered in there just as hard as anything else, that we remember our favorite songs. And I don't know if you know Tony Bennett, he's pretty well has Alzheimer's, but when he hears the songs, he gets up and performs like it's now. So all I know is whenever I get towards that direction, I want to hear my favorite songs and always have my favorite ice cream, and I'll be happy.
Here's PJ. I'm from the Guava